Studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, here we are again another day committed to being your consumer advocate, helping you understand your buying decisions and making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We love to engage with you. Last week we had a lot of great callers reaching out, wanting to find out more about their ways that they can improve their credit scores, getting pre-approved for a mortgage. We had a few calls on estate plans and all types of stuff in between, looking for home services, great home service providers associated with the show. And you can see them all at consumerqb.com is the website. Plus, our hotline is the best way to reach out. You can call or text that line. It's an off-air number, 813-750-0550. Call or text the hotline. Any questions you have, concerns, reach out. We'd love to connect with you or connect you with one of our 50-plus show partners, 80 different categories of consumer advocate content and advice delivered to you right here daily at 4 o'clock drive time here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We do have our weekend show on FM 102.5 The Bone Sunday mornings, and we syndicate as well to Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and about 80 other outlets. So we'd love to talk to you about what you're looking to do in the business world and beyond. We got a great lineup for you today. Patrick Moradi's Access Group going to be in studio. Greg Bowman as well, the AC guy of Tampa Bay, longtime friend of the program, acguyoftampa.com. And also in studio, Jason Kobal, attorney Jason Kobal as well, TampaWorkCompLaw.com coming up. And before we do, I'm going to plug one of our sponsors here and have you guys talk about Replenish IV Solutions. If you want to feel energized, replenished, and hydrated, reach out to our friends Stephen and Lisa Gunnan over at Replenish IV Solutions. What it is, it's a nurse is going to hook you up to a vitamin infusion drip. You're going to deliver all these great nutrients to your body, vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, all types of good stuff, enabling your body to perform at optimal levels. Replenish IV Solutions, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we do like to feature our real estate listings live on air, and we help our sellers profit more and sell faster when they're listing and selling their real estate properties. We got a great one here in Apollo Beach, waterfront property, 911 Chipaway Drive in Apollo Beach. Waterfront, screened-in pool, boat dock, bring your boat, bay access, beautiful property here in Apollo Beach. Great opportunity to own a slice of heaven in South Florida here. Beautiful property available at 911 Chipaway here in Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, we got attorney Jason Kobal in the house. Kobal Law, welcome back in, my friend.
Thank you, Brandon. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming. So when you look at the climate going on right now, what's kind of topical in your mind? What do you see happening out there?
I actually just read an article about a change that was made to the workers' comp PTSD law that recently passed. And real quickly, just to summarize, I know I've talked about this before in the past. If you had PTSD and you didn't have a corresponding physical injury, nobody could get compensation for that PTSD. They changed the law and made that possible for first responders. But just a couple of weeks ago, there was a case that went to the first DCA, District Court of Appeals, and now it's limited even more. The only compensable PTSD claims you could get, it has to be from a qualifying event, and a qualifying event is defined as witnessing the death of a minor or the death of a person who was injured by grievous bodily harm of a nature that shocks the conscious. And then you only have a year now, where normally you would have 2 years. So they limited the amount of time you have to file the claim. And then also they said on the National Institute of Mental Health said usually PTSD happens within 3 months from the onset, from the witnessing of the horrific event. And there's a lot of people that disagree with that, and there's been studies that shows it happens later. So there is, from what I read in the case, they're fighting a lot of cases if the symptoms aren't happening within 3 months of the qualifying event, and you have to file it within 1 year from either the qualifying event or the onset of the symptoms. So all They basically took the law that was just made and restricted it.
Wow.
And made it tougher.
Oh man.
Oh,
So
it
that
is
was
what
the
it is.
Florida legislature that did that?
No, that was actually the court, the appellate court.
Oh, the appellate court.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
got it.
So that happens.
which is not good for consumers and or, basically your frontline workers, your folks that are coming in, and your paramedics, your police officers on the scene, and so if you see a kid that's 18 years or younger get killed, then you would qualify. If I'm following what you said, 18 and above, nah, you don't qualify anymore.
Well, it could be if it says a death
Unless,
of a person.
right.
If it's I don't know. We're gonna have to see through case law how they define a grievous, horrific event that shocks the conscience. But
Right.
why does it have to be a death? Like, what if you're one of the first responders that has to clean up body parts or something
Right.
like that? I imagine that could give you PTSD.
Yeah, somebody loses a limb or something. I
Right.
mean, that's very traumatic, post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, it could cause that. But yeah, it's interesting to see how these things play out in the courts.
That's it. Like the law gets created, and then through going to court and creating case law and precedents, sometimes it gets narrowed, sometimes it gets expanded. In this case, it's definitely narrowed.
Wow.
Yep.
So is there maybe a lobby behind that, making that happen? Could it be
It shouldn't be.
insurance companies or?
Well, it really shouldn't be, because
Right.
the courts are separate. But
Right.
as we see in Washington, unfortunately these days, it's not always playing out that way.
Right.
There's a lot of political opinions being made here and there, and that's not good. So it's not supposed to work that way. But
Yeah.
who knows?
There's influence in so many different areas. When you look at, I was plug a book here that I'm reading. Alex Marlowe, he's the editor in chief at Breitbart, but he wrote a book, a very good book. I'm only halfway through it now, but it's called Breaking the News, and he just outlines all these relationships from the common characters, the MSNBCs, the CNNs, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all the connections in the politics and the deep state and just the stuff happening in D.C. So yeah, so that stuff is there. It's underlying. It's an element that is in all aspects of. Now in law you're seeing it too in different places, but not that this one particularly is.
I think you hit on something very important that I see also from the legal aspect.
Yep.
There's a lot of interplay between, there's baloney lawsuits being filed,
Yes.
right? Baloney criminal investigations being announced.
Exactly.
That ultimately end up either getting dropped or losing. But what happens is when they announce them, the media runs with
They
it.
control the narrative.
And they make it seem like they're going to hold water. In reality, they end up worthless.
Yeah.
But you know what? They get the job done for what the media wanted.
That's right.
They drill it into people's heads that it's valuable when in essence by the end it's not.
Yeah.
And that's really wrong.
Jim Jordan had a good quote about that, or a tweet about that the other day. I mean, he literally outlined 5 or 6 of them in a row. But anyways, when you think about that, it's things you control, what can you control, that type of thing. But we're talking with attorney Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Kobal Law is his company, TampaWorkCompLaw.com. Here locally, he can help you. What else is happening in the world of work comp, or maybe even personal injury? I know you do a lot of those cases too.
Yep. Workers' comp. Not really workers' comp, but like I told you before on the show, for COVID, it's very difficult to prove a compensable case for COVID. You could do
Right.
it, but it's really, if they want to fight you, they could probably beat you every time. But sometimes they, like I have a case with a nurse who was traveling nurse. All she did was treated COVID patients. She caught COVID. They picked it up. If they fought it, they probably could have beat it, because that's how tough the standard is. Now there was a law that it's actually the bill sitting on the governor's desk about limiting people. And actually, I think he signed it. You cannot sue doctors, hospitals, or anybody really who's treating you for COVID for personal injury, except for extenuating circumstances, like you have to prove they intentionally disregarded the standards, the restrictions and whatnot,
Right.
or the parameters, and then it's limited to only a 1-year statute of limitations.
Okay.
Where usually it's more. So they're making it very difficult, which is fine. I get that. But that's one of the changes that
Well, it seems like
learned of.
gross negligent. Like if they're
Right.
grossly
Yep.
negligent, they're doing something in a way where wow, you didn't adhere to the CDC guideline or whatever it might be.
Exactly. Whereas normally a regular negligence standard would be enough, and that's exactly right, because actually the standard is clear and convincing evidence,
Right.
as opposed to preponderance of the evidence, which is the highest standard, clear and convincing. So it makes it very difficult to pull off.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. This So COVID, yes. Luckily, COVID's in the rearview mirror. It seems
Yep.
like it's very distant in Florida. Maybe states maybe not be as distant. A couple car links back, maybe. When you're thinking about rearview mirror metaphor. But yeah. So in general, Florida's a free state. People are moving here in record numbers. That's affecting. I would think that's affecting everything from car accidents to infrastructure. And one of the biggest things I worry about, or not worry, but think about is water supplies and clean water and things like that. But anything else you're seeing in your space as far as that goes?
Yeah, well, of course, the PIP repeal is still on DeSantis's desk, whether he's going to veto it or not. And you know what? I'm kind of stressed out. I don't know what's going to happen there because I've seen expert opinions on both sides. I've seen expert opinions that say getting rid of PIP and requiring BI of 25, 50, that's going to make rates go down. And then I've seen experts that said it's going to go up by 50%.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a gamble.
Wow.
But I got to give our governor credit for having guts, man. He's not afraid to gamble.
Right.
He's definitely put himself out there a couple of times.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. What
so
about
we'll see how it plays out?
Yeah, exactly. So the PIP repeal, personal injury protection repeal, dealing with home auto insurances. What do you think about the cruise line industry? Have you seen anything in that?
Yeah. Well, just following up on what I've seen in the news as far as I believe some of the cruise lines wanted to have mandatory vaccination proof before you could get on.
Right.
And DeSantis isn't having that. So I'm sure they'll work it out because Florida's such a big part of the cruise industry, one of the biggest states in the country, I'm sure. But right now, I believe that's what's they're at odds over that issue.
They want to force you to take an unproven vaccine, which is actually technically not even a vaccine. It's an RNA. Like I've talked to people that really have the details on that as far as what's in it, what aborted this and that, just crazy stuff in this thing. And then they're giving away a free can of soup or something, or a beer with it. Here, get your vaccine. And there's even the people that are really kind of, you might say kind of out there a little bit are saying that, well, hey, this could be a Chinese ploy to because our military's a lot, like 60 or 70% of our military has been injected with this thing. What happens in a year from now? What if they all get sick? What if they pass away? I mean, could be. And
then, I just saw research showed that people who had the COVID virus are more protected than people who got the vaccine.
Yes.
So they don't have to get the vaccine. So what? They can't go on a cruise?
Right, exactly, because you don't show this passport.
Or because you got COVID and you didn't get a vaccine, now you can't go on a cruise? That's insane.
It's insane. It really is insane, Jason. Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. TampaWorkCompLaw.com. If you want to talk to a great attorney here in Tampa Bay, Jason has talked about numerous cases that he's worked over the years and settled and won. And do you have any recent success stories or anything that might be topical?
I am very anxious. I'm dying for our wonderful Supreme Court of Florida to issue the decision on my class action case that I filed the original complaint, but now it's a class action case being run by a class action firm.
Nice.
But the oral arguments were in December, and it's about illegally billing injured workers, and I think it's going to go our way, but no decision yet, so we're anxiously waiting.
That's cool.
But it's tough with COVID. I'm sure they're behind it, and so we're being patient.
But that brings up a good point. As a consumer advocate, if you've been injured at an on-site job and you're getting billed directly, you're not supposed to be getting billed directly.
Never. Even just getting the bill sent to you, you could get the bill, send it to your attorney, or maybe even send it directly to workers' comp, and they pay it, right? And it's off your chest. You think the mere fact you got that bill is a violation of your rights, and I could get you $1,000 plus my fees and costs paid by the other side. It won't cost you a dime.
Wow.
And all I have to do is prove that they knew it was a work-related injury, which isn't that difficult. Usually people tell the hospital that, or
right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we're talking about Jason Kobal here. So, Jason, what else is when you see, a lot of challenges, with the growth in Florida? There's things locally too, when you think about the real estate side, for example, I know Hillsborough County has changed the impact fees. So you have the impact fees changing. Trying to think of what else might be topical for your line of work, your business model.
There's a lot of changes going on,
Yep.
and with respect to the PIP repeal, I mean, it's well known that Florida is like one of the most uninsured states as far as people driving around without insurance.
Right.
So
Yeah.
maybe if the rates are lowered, maybe more people have some kind of insurance. So we won't be the worst in the country as far as that.
Right.
But yeah, and of course, COVID. There's all kinds of changes going on. We're
Still
trying to
happening.
still trying to kind of get back to normal. Like last time I was on the show, I told you I had a hearing before a judge where the judge wanted the attorneys there in person,
Yep.
but then the witnesses could appear by phone, which I thought was kind of silly.
Huh.
But so yeah, we're all kind of we're trying to figure out how much of the COVID way of life do we want to keep, if anything.
Right.
Once now that things are getting back to normal. Like,
Yeah.
do we want to keep doing Zoom as opposed to in person for mediations and hearings and whatnot?
Right.
And it seems to be, a varying degree depending on what the jurisdiction is. I mean,
Right.
I've seen some courts they want everything back in person now.
Yep.
I've seen others that they're cool. They want things by phone and they feel it runs more efficiently that way.
Yep.
So we'll see. There's no uniformity, that's for sure.
Yeah. Imagine if some people were saying, "Hey, I'm kind of used to the whole zooming in and saving gas money type of thing, or the hassle and parking."
I told my young associate, he doesn't even know what it's like yet, because that's all he knows. He only
Yeah.
passed the bar this year. I go,
Yeah.
you got to start driving to people's houses for interviews, and you got to go in person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't, I personally like the old way of doing things, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. And it's for a business. There's nothing like getting your team together. Brainstorming strategies, brainstorming solutions. Visiting those types of things, because you can still you can do some things over the computer, Skype or Zoom, but you lose that element of that neural resonance that comes with just being face to face.
There is no doubt about that. There's
Yep.
no doubt about that.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to tell if somebody's lying on the stand, right?
That, even you're trying to, it's so essential, and I've talked about this before, you have to have an attorney that you could trust.
Right.
It's tough to build that trust over the phone or over the Zoom. You really have to meet person to person to build trust.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a thing called the Pinocchio effect in one of the negotiation books that I think I recommended to you.
Yeah, I started listening to it. I love it.
He talks about the Pinocchio effect. So just like Carlos Colloidal's character Pinocchio, when his nose would grow, he was lying, right? So they call it the Pinocchio effect because when people are lying in a conversation and they're having these really kind of weird stories, or they tell like a long, lengthy story about why they did something or didn't do something, they call that and then you also pick it up on the body language too. So,
it's amazing.
So that's why I say being in tells and signs.
Yeah.
Yes. So being face to face, being able to see that person, then it comes down to the 7-55-30 or 35-55% rule. 7% of what you're delivering is just the words, the tone that you're delivering it in, and then the overwhelming majority, 55% of what the person's saying is the way that you say it, the body language.
Yep.
So it's interesting when you see that.
Yeah, and then even looking at, everybody knows now, first impressions are so key, and usually people make up their mind about the other person within the first couple seconds.
That's right.
And you know what? When your first couple seconds are on the phone, it's not as significant as in person.
Exactly.
You
Yep.
know?
Give us your final thought, Jason. Jason Kobal Law.
Yep. If you got hurt in a car accident, make sure that you're communicating with your lawyer. Make sure it's your lawyer that's handling the case and giving you the information, and not a paralegal or an assistant. And make sure you know what your coverage is. The coverage limits mean everything. And if any of that is not happening, get rid of them and give me a call.
Awesome. That sounds good. Tampa, workcomplaw.com. You can also reach out to the show. We'll get you in touch with Jason Kobal. All right, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Thank you,
Thanks
Brandon.
for coming in.
All right.
All right, when we come back, Greg Bowman, the AC guy of Tampa Bay, in studio here, acguyoftampa.com. Also, our feel-good story of the day coming up later as well. Woman's act of kindness inspired by her own survival story. Stay with us right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Ryan. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
My friends, when choosing a listing agent to sell your home, their track record is critically important. Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Real Estate. They're consistently rated by the MLS in the top 1% of all Tampa Bay realtors, and that's a big deal. Brandon and Lindsay are always among the top realtors in the state. Call them today at 813-750-0550.
Find them at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace. As we say, we want to be that consumer advocate, put you in touch with our 50-plus show partners, all types of great experts, contributors for the show, CPAs, financial advisors, wonderful home service providers here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. And let's give a shout out to the Bilmar Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. It's not a cookie cutter hotel. You know, a lot of the hotels are the same, but Clyde and his staff do a great job. They are just a great place to visit. They've got 2 pools on site, Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and Grill, and they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Entertainment as well on site. Bilmar Beach Resort. Check them out online, book directly, and make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you so you can take them up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got our friend Greg Bowman back in studio. Welcome in.
Thanks, Brandon. It's great to be back in here.
Yes, sir.
A little different, too. We're losing some of the COVID
Isn't that
screens.
nice?
It is.
It's so much nicer.
More friendly.
Yeah, if you're just listening to the radio, what are they talking about? Well, we used to have this plastic plexiglass in between us, and
yeah.
So now we're open back up.
Yep.
Free for business. The free state of Florida, I always say.
Right.
Yeah, the free state of Florida. Here we go. So, AC guy of Tampa Bay, what's happening in the AC world?
Well, it's hot out there, so we're very busy. It's that time of year where we're out, fixing air and staying on top of that. But tell you what, you were talking with Jason about all the changes and stuff like that are going on in our world right now.
Yeah.
Thing that's got me a little worried is we are seeing price spikes all over the place. And,
right.
I've been looking into it with what's this mean with inflation. And, of course, everybody keeps saying, oh, it's only 2 or 3%. And the spikes we're seeing in materials and equipment, I don't know. It worries me about what's coming.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've seen copper prices go up 50% in a month. Steel prices, same thing. We went to buy lumber. You've probably heard about that. Sheet of plywood has doubled in cost. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, almost everything.
Yeah.
Steel. You name it, precious metals, it's all gone up. Gasoline.
Yeah.
And of course, the gasoline gets it to the store where the contractors go pick it up.
Yeah.
It's amazing, too, how we went from a great economy just about 100 and something days ago to what we have now.
Yeah.
In such a short period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is concerning as to what's going to happen. I mean, we're having to make adjustments in our price structure, but I mean, minor ones at this point. But I'm worried about the long-term impact, with what's going on as to what it's going to mean.
Yeah, you and me both, and a lot of other listeners of the show and people out there that I talk to on a daily basis. You got a labor crisis as well because they're sending out all these checks. People are making more money to stay home. You see it on the front lines.
Definitely, we are hiring. We're looking for people, and I have probably had 50 to 100 applications come through that when I respond back to them, nobody answers.
Oh, man.
To me, the only reason for that is they're just trying to, make it look like they're looking for work. But
so they get that re-up on their
unemployment.
The unemployment.
But, yeah, it's a mess.
We're going to take a quick break. More with Greg Bowman when we come back. Greg Bowman, the AC Guy of Tampa Bay, longtime friend of the program. acguyoftampa.com is his website and URL. And when we come back, I want to talk about some of the impacts as well. We talk about the outside air conditioning versus the indoor air, some of the quality there as well. And then coming up later as well, Patrick Morades on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Woman's act of kindness inspired her own survival story. Really cool story coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We'll be right back.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team. Quick shout out to Chad Irrigation. Victor and his team do a great job here in Tampa Bay. If you want to add irrigation system to your property, reach out to Chad Irrigation. They can access lake water. They can help you with accessing your wells as well. And Victor and his team, they do a great job. I can tell you from firsthand experience, they did a great job, an awesome job on my property as well. Chad Irrigation, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got a hot property for this segment. We've got a property at 2294 Swedish Drive. It's in the Tampa World community, 55-plus community. This is a nice condo right here in Tampa Bay. Number 18 is the unit number, 2294 Swedish Drive, unit number 18, 1,475 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, active 55-plus community here in Tampa Bay. You got a 9-hole golf course and an 8-hole golf course as well, several pools, and an impressive gym at 2294 Swedish Drive in Top of the World. It's unit number 18, available for sale here in beautiful Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got Greg Bowman, AC guy of Tampa, here in studio, and we talk a lot about, the indoor air quality being such a key factor. People don't realize, their health and how if you have mold or something like that in your home, or even other contaminants that are in the air, how much that can affect your health.
Yeah, definitely. The EPA basically has put it out there for years now. They've said this, that the average American home is about 5 times more polluted inside than it is outside. That's primarily because of the energy crisis in the 70s. It pushed us to build our homes tighter, more energy efficient. But when we've done that, now they don't breathe as well, so they trap pollutants inside. So any air quality issues, molds, mildews, chemicals, those things get trapped in our homes, and we don't ventilate our homes very well, especially in Florida. We're keeping our homes air conditioned year round, so the windows and doors are closed. Anything that starts to get in the house doesn't get out of the house. We're not, before air conditioning in Florida, they used to have those central fans that would ventilate the whole house, or they would open the windows at night and there was a high vent in the roof that would naturally draft the air out of the house and cleanse those pollutants. But we're actually trapping them in our homes. So the newer your house, the more at risk you are, sadly. But there's things we can do about it. There's plenty of air cleaners and technologies available that are primarily based on nature. They use the same technology. When we go to the beach, we like to go to the beach and sit in the sun and be by the water, and it gives us that peaceful feeling. But really, the beach or near the water and in the sun are some of the best air quality situations. The movement of the water, the waves, that generates ions in the air, which cleanse the air. The sun, the UV wavelengths of the sun sterilize bacteria and viruses in the air. So we don't even think about the fact that we're just naturally drawn to do those things, but it's actually healthier for us. But we can bring those same technologies, the UV wavelengths that the sun generates, we can generate those with UV air cleaners. The ionization that water movement does, we can generate that in our homes. So we can do those same things and clean the air in our homes. And the central air conditioning system is the perfect vessel to do that with, since it's moving the air around in the home.
Right. Yeah, wow, that makes a lot of sense when you break it down like that. And you've got these programs or these systems that you can add on to someone's existing?
Correct, yeah. They're all like accessories that can be added to your existing system, installed in the ductwork. Depends on, the different, there's dozens of technologies and products available to do it. So it really boils down to 3 areas that there could be problems with the air in your home that the EPA has identified. There's pollutants as far as particulates, which would be like dust, dander, dust mites. There's then volatile organic compounds. Those would be formaldehyde off-gassing from new carpet or furniture, those types of chemicals in the air. And then there's the biologicals that we are all familiar with, the mold, the mildew. But all 3 of those areas can be treated with just different technologies. It just depends on what your most pressing need is as to what the best product is to address those.
Right. Yeah. And then, the indoor air quality, I think, is something that's kind of, you don't see it as so much unless it's some real thick smoke or something.
Correct.
So people,
we don't even realize it. We've had run into customers already who have had amazing health issues that they've been dealing with, and they had no clue where it was coming from. Eventually, figured it out. But in one case I'm thinking of in particular, we had a lady who was sick for years and was finally diagnosed as having mold in her blood, and that mold was traced to her attic space. Basically, her entire attic space had to be sterilized. Everything had to be removed. It had to be sterilized and cleaned.
Wow.
That was about a year ago now. We've been back maintaining her system. Those health issues she was having are gone. It was all traced back to that, which is an indoor air quality situation.
Wow. Yeah. And it reminds me also. So we're talking with Greg Bowman, AC guy of Tampa Bay, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. ACGuyofTampa.com. Reminds me of kind of the flip side too when we talk with our water quality expert, Fred DeFelice, because it's, water is kind of water, but then, you can see sometimes a little tint to it or something like that, but it's very similar.
Correct. And we don't think about it. When I grew up, we used to drink water right out of the tap. We wouldn't even, at least in here, we don't even think about doing it. Now, my daughter was in school up north. We went up there and people were drinking water out of the tap up there. But here in Florida, I would not put my cup under the sink spigot and drink it. There's no way. We've been conditioned now to drink our water as bottled water. We need to start thinking about our air, along that same lines. Maybe not bottled air. I know they have these O2 cafes and whatnot, but we have the capability to treat the air in our homes very easily.
Right.
Obviously, with like anything, there's an additional expense, but that can be budgeted for and dealt with, and we can eliminate a lot of the health issues that are caused by it.
Yeah. So when it comes to repairs on existing HVAC systems with these rising costs, it seems like people might be skewing towards repairing versus replacing, just with the trend of what we're seeing, what we were talking about earlier in the last segment.
Yeah, it just depends on what the repair is. Repair costs, unfortunately, are skyrocketing too. A lot of the printed circuit boards that we use in our equipment are we're having problems getting them because the chips they make them with are made out of China and are unavailable, or it's all kinds of stuff that's just causing issues. But we are seeing a problem too with availability of equipment. Plants during COVID were shut down that made certain components, and now those components aren't available. There's a backlog. So we're having problems just across the board with getting materials, equipment, everything, to do it. So, my advice, from a consumer advocate standpoint, is if you're in the need for an air conditioner, do something about it now.
Right.
When you have time, don't wait till it breaks, and then we're dealing with, we can't get that equipment, and you end up having to put up something you didn't want, or we're waiting 3 weeks to get something while you're living with a portable air conditioner or going to a hotel. It's just it's a tough year. So if your air conditioner's on the fritz and giving you problems, deal with it before it becomes a major issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Get it checked out. Reach out to Greg Bowman, AC guy of Tampa Bay, and then so let's do this because Greg is looking to hire right now. I don't know if you want to tee this up, but we'll do a text offer too. So if you want to text in, he can hook you up with discount for one of his air cleaner packages. And then also if you have interest in maybe getting into the career, it's a great field to get in, learn the technical side, to learn the trade, and what a great career you could have.
Most definitely. This is a great industry. This is a whole nother show. We could probably spend talking about this, but for years we've taught our youth that you got to go get a college degree.
Exactly.
And we've talked them out of the blue collar work. The trades are hurting for people. You can make six figures as a HVAC technician. It's very doable. There's a lot of college jobs you can make six figures in, but you'll carry six figures of debt with you too.
Yeah, exactly.
You can learn this trade. Now, it's not like you can start making that tomorrow, but put a few years in, learn the business, learn the trade, and you can really make a good living. So yeah, if anybody's out there looking for a job, we're always looking to hire. There's some apprenticeship programs available in the state of Florida. We can get you keyed in with that while you're working for us, get you trained.
That's awesome.
And definitely, if you're in the market for some kind of air quality solution, we can come out and do an assessment. If you text the show or message the show, we'll do that at no charge. and then we can offer some discounts on that as well.
Yeah, pull out your smartphone, send us a text right now, 813-750-0550. Just text the word AC, HVAC, to 813-750-0550, and we'll put you in touch with Greg and his team, AC Guy of Tampa Bay. If you want to check out their website, it's acguyoftampa.com. But yeah, there's definitely a need right now in that space.
For sure. Yeah, we are struggling. We've been looking for months, and it's just finding somebody who's willing, first of all, to do it, just to show up. We've scheduled interviews and people don't show up, and it's been a challenge. But definitely this is a good industry if you want a secure job that you don't have to worry about it going anywhere. And it's a industry that, like for example, during COVID, we were considered an essential business. We didn't shut our doors. We were out working, continuing to provide our services to the community. So
that's great. All right, good stuff. Greg Bowman, AC Guy of Tampa. Thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. It's great to be here.
Appreciate it. All right, coming up, Patrick Morades here, Axis Group. He is a owner of a PEO, Professional Employer Organization, and he's got some great insights as well into the business climate, what's happening in that space here on the show. Plus, feel-good story of the day, woman's act of kindness inspired by her own survival story. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is Diane Vance with Fairway Independent Mortgage, a member of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Please give me a call for any of your mortgage needs. We do all sorts of loans. If you would like information on a mortgage, you can text me or call me at 727-647-8199. I will take care of all your mortgage needs. Go to my website at dianevance.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man, Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the Real Estate Quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in 813-773-1253. Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing at 813-773-1253.
Check out consumerqb.com. Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. Every day we like to tell you something good here in our feel-good story of the day, something on a positive note for you. Tell you something good.
Tell me something good.
All right, so we're talking about an act of kindness here. This is a good one, her own survival story. So this is a woman out of Louisville. She had just passed her barber exam, and it's her first official haircut. She gave her first official haircut to a homeless man at a bus stop. Lex Moran says she was making a point to take care of Joe whenever their paths cross. And she says, when I pull up, I try to feed him. I give him a little extra money. And she says he clothes whatever he might need throughout the day. And then on 29, she spotted the 29-year-old Joe at a bus stop in Taylorberry neighborhood, mentioned that he might wanted a haircut. So she was talking about how his hair was getting longer, is tickling in his ears, Marianne said. And she's lucky for Joe, she had just taken and passed her barber board exam that day. And the interesting thing is how it's kind of coming full circle, as Moran said she had a near-death experience in 2016 that changed her view on life. She was shot 3 times while standing on her porch. The incident resulted in 8-hour surgery, 10 days in the hospital, physical and emotional recovery. And she says, quote, having a second chance at life is just sympathy and compassion, and even having an understanding for others, no matter the situation. She hopes to lead by example and sending the world a message that we can always use more love and compassion. So, and she says she's got so much love and satisfaction from helping Joe. It's almost unbelievable, she said. So there's our feel-good story of the day. And we have Patrick Morades here in studio, PEO, Access Group. Welcome in.
Hey, what's going on, Brandon?
Yeah, man.
Happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me, as always. It's always a good time.
My pleasure. Yep. And talking about, the economy, the economic stuff going on, and you are, from a PEO perspective, so you're working with a lot of different business owners, professional employer organization. We kind of outlined that in the past.
Yep.
But when you talk to these business owners, what's like the overwhelming theme that you're hearing?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it ties right into Greg, that was just here. Our clients are in California, New York, Florida, and sprinkled in every state in between. And the overwhelming theme right now is they need help.
Yeah.
And it's not financial help. It's they need people.
And physical bodies.
They need physical bodies. There's no shortage of jobs available. There's just a worker shortage, or a willingness to work shortage.
Right.
To be more specific. The jobs report came out last Friday. There was 592,000 jobs added. That was, again, short of what the economists had projected. They were projecting 750. The month prior, they were projecting well over 1 million. We totally missed the 1 million mark.
Yep.
But oddly enough, or interesting enough, 292,000 of that 559 is in the hospitality space, so your restaurants and hotels and things of that nature. So there's a big push within that marketplace, because it was hit so hard, and kind of like we were chatting, prior to a couple weekends ago, I was down at the beach, Treasure Island, and Chick-fil-A sign, now hiring. They're paying a signing bonus. McDonald's had a sign that said they're giving away iPhones.
Wow.
So it's wild when you're seeing carrots like that being dangled to just get people back to work.
Well, I bet you what an interesting theme might be, at least for the summer, is some of these kids coming out of school now. They're going to probably be able to fill some of those fast food jobs, some of those less. What's the word for that? There's the entry level type jobs.
Sure.
That require less in terms of education or whatever. But yeah, that's going to be just a temporary Band-Aid.
Right. That's a temporary Band-Aid. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. There's call centers. Clearwater is a big area for call centers. Brandon has a bunch of call centers, stuff like that. Typically a lower wage type of role, but we're seeing companies in that space paying $2,000 signing bonuses just to get people to come into work.
Wow.
And they're not, and people aren't doing it. They're coming in to check a box, to grab an application, to go back to the unemployment office to say, well, I tried, but I just don't feel safe.
What's causing this?
Right. And ultimately it's just to collect that unemployment check. So, thankfully Governor DeSantis made his ruling, and that extra unemployment bonus is going to be uplifted or suspended at some point in June. I forget the exact date. But other states, they still have that federal aid through September 14th.
Okay.
Wow.
So they're dragging it out.
September. Yeah, dragging it out. Yeah.
And so that federal aid, the cause of it is this overreach by government, this push towards socialism, this free money mentality, and this printing of money, the trillions of dollars, and you're seeing it, in how that plays out. It's killing the work ethic of these people. And then I think also you have unintended consequences, because at some point people say, I like this free money, but they're going to lose their drive. Right. They're not going to want to go back out and work at any point, really.
And unfortunately, the current administration really wants to model California. But if you look at how California's performed, although it's the 6th largest economy in the world, if you talk to people that live and work in California, they'll tell you how bad it is.
Yep.
California, has already been at that minimum wage of $15 an hour, and it's not working.
Yeah, it's crushing. That's why people were leaving en masse to California, Arizona, and Florida.
Minimum wage isn't created for someone to take care of a household.
Exactly.
It's, like you said, an entry-level position. It's, when I was in high school, my first job was at a restaurant, making $5 an hour in the kitchen, and just learning work ethic, learning skills.
That's right.
That's what minimum wage is for. So now a high school kid in doing my role is going to get $15 an hour. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
The logic doesn't apply.
It doesn't. There's no logic, and it just goes along with the victim mentality, and that's what they push is that whole mentality.
Well, we're seeing what the results are going to be right now. It's just the cost of everything is going up. Cost of goods, lumber is at 300% high, so which is hugely adversely impacting your marketplace.
Yep.
Diesel's at an all-time, $3.25 a gallon on average, and it's what the price of oil per barrel is up to $66.85. So you're seeing increases in everything. The supply chain is all messed up, as Greg was sharing about. Manufacturers weren't working due to COVID, so now there's an influx. Now there's demand, but there's no supply. So just simple economics is going to drive that cost up because demand is there, supply isn't. So what little is there, drive costs up.
Yeah, they blamed it on the supply chain and why, but they could have had more foresight and to see, that once we come through this, the demand is going to ramp up. Let's have these raw materials there, or whatever the situation might have been. They should have had more foresight, into that.
Right. Yeah. Simple economics would have predicted this.
We're talking with Patrick Morades here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. He is a local business owner, again, supporting the local economy by supporting this show. Axis Group is his company name. PEO is his business, professional employer organization. Talk a little bit about, you had mentioned something before the show as well, where people will try to game the system. They will say, hey, I'm getting all this free money. Can you pay me cash? What's the impact of that?
It's sad. More than anything, but so people are double dipping, right? So now there's a demand for work, a huge demand for work. So employers are getting desperate, and so now negotiations are happening at the hiring table where someone's like, "Well, I'll work, but I want cash. I want it under the table.
Right.
I'm going to continue to collect my unemployment benefit and grab
You're basically
over here."
Defrauding the government, aren't you?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you could probably be legally charged for that.
And the employer needs to be careful too, because what they're doing is not legal either. And then God forbid, with our expertise is, being in on risk management, workers' comp and payroll, what if that person gets hurt?
Yep.
If that person gets hurt, they're not on your policy. How is that going to be handled and managed and mitigated and everything else?
They turn on you fast.
Right.
That's what happens.
Right.
They want to be your friend when you're hiring them and give them that extra money, but they're going to turn on you.
And then how do you know that they're not going to go to the Department of Labor and turn you in and say, hey, I've been paid under the table. I didn't get a 1099. I didn't get a W-2.
Blame it on you.
And now you're getting fines, penalties, and everything else associated with you not being in compliance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, buyer beware, fair warning to the business owner to, simple phrase, right? It's always right to do the right thing.
That's right.
Just go by the books.
Same thing with W-2 versus 1099. A lot of business owners try to skate around the system there.
Right.
But again, you can get in trouble. We got about a minute left for you, Patrick. Final thoughts, nuggets of advice, words of wisdom.
Final thoughts. Just I know there's a high demand for work, but still make sure you do your appropriate due diligence. You don't want to just hire anyone. You want to make sure they fit your culture. You want to make sure you do background screening and certain measures to make sure that you're hiring the right candidate, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to end up costing you more to rehire and retrain.
Yeah.
So even though there's a shortage, make sure you do your appropriate due diligence. But then to quickly transition to plug something on the social side, Children's Cancer Center has a fundraiser coming up next Thursday.
Good.
It's a virtual poker tournament, so anyone can join. So it's all in for the kids.org. People can go there, register anywhere in the country.
Nice.
And you could win a all expenses paid trip to Vegas.
Awesome. All in for the kids.org.
Yep.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for coming in. All right, shout out to Jason Kobal, Kobal Law, Greg Bowman, AC guy of Tampa Bay as well. Another great show. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, Let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.